Hello everybody, Sir Beaton here and welcome back to another mathematics video. In this video we will be looking at bearings, and at the end of this video you should be able to 1. Identify the 4 cardinal points, and 2. Determine the bearings of a point from a point. So let's head into it. What exactly do we mean by bearing? Now a bearing is a direction measured from north in a clockwise direction and is given only by an angle as a 3-digit number. So one key thing that we should remember is that for bearings, you always start from the north line. And the north line, for the case or for the sake of drawing, the north line would always be straight up. So the point is here, the north line would always be straight up at that point. And we always start measuring from the north line in a clockwise direction. Clockwise is how the clock will go. So a bearing helps us to figure out the location of a point in reference to another point. So we use another point to get the location of another one. So let's head into the cardinal points. So the 4 cardinal points are north, east, south, west. North, east, south, west. And this is something that we've seen in movies, we've come across before. And between north and east, we'll have northeast. Between east and south, we'll have southeast. And between south and west, we'll have southwest. And between north and west, we'll have northwest. Right in the middle of it. So at each of these points, there's a degree attached to them. Now this here is a guide. Whenever we are sketching bearings, this will be used as a guide. So from the north line, we always start off with 0, 0, 0, or if we go all the way around, it will be 360 degrees. So from 0, we go all the way down to east, which will take us to 90 degrees. So anything between 0 to 90, you can find it in between here. And then from there, we go from north, we go all the way around to south. And south, that will be 180 degrees. So anything between 0 to 180, you will find in between here. And anything between 90 and 180, you will find in between here. Any angle that is. And then we go all the way around to west, which will be 270 degrees. And then we go all the way around back to north, which will be 360 degrees. So this here is what we use as a guide when we want to draw bearings. So we have an understanding of what we mean by bearings. So let's look at this example. So this question says, the bearing of A from B is 200 degrees. So the key word that you want to look for in bearings, the key word that will tell you where you're drawing the angle or where you're drawing the angle from, is the word from. People tend to mix up and they will draw the angle at A. But the key word is from. From indicates where the bearing is drawing from. So it says the bearing of A from B. So first thing you want to do, you want to draw in the point. So we call this point B. So the bearing of A from B is 200 degrees. So after you finish drawing the point, the next thing we do is you draw in the north line, because the north line is where we are measuring from. So to draw in the north line, there we measure 200 degrees from the north line. So we know here is 90. Around here would be 180. So we know 200 degrees would come somewhere like around here. And at this point, we'll have the point A, and we put in the 200 degrees. So the bearing of A from B is 200 degrees. Bearing of A from B is 200 degrees. And that is how we draw that diagram. So the next thing they want us to determine the bearing of B from A. So in this case, you see the from is at A. So at A is where we'll get the angle now. So to get that bearing, of course, we draw up the north line, and then the bearing of B from A, so north, and we go clockwise. So we want to find this angle here. Now here's the beauty about finding that angle. We already have this here, which is 200 degrees. There's a relationship between this angle here and this angle here. Since you have 2 north lines, that means those 2 lines are parallel to each other. And then we have a line drawing across from one north line to the other one. So the relationship between these 2 angles is that they are supplementary, meaning they add up to 180 degrees. So this angle here and this angle here, they are supplementary. So if we can find this angle here, then we can use that to find this angle here. And that would answer the question. So if we know here is 200 degrees, we know this piece would be, this will complete the circle, we'll have 360 subtract 200 degrees, and hence this will give us 160 degrees. So if there is 160 degrees, then we know, since they are supplementary, we know this angle would be 180 subtract 160 degrees. Hence this will give us 20 degrees. So therefore we can say the bearing of B from A is 20 degrees. So we use a 3 digits, so 0 to 0 degrees or 20 degrees. And that is how we answer this question. So let's look at another one, of course. This one says, the bearing of P from Q is 120 degrees. Determine the bearing of Q from P. So we need to draw this piece of information. So it says the bearing of P from Q. So since we are coming from Q, we'll draw in a point Q. And next thing we draw up the north line. So they said the bearing from Q is 120. So you know here is 90, 120 would be right somewhere here. And this will take us to this point, which would be P. So we put in the north, and this will be 120 degrees. So we put in the north line, this is the north line. So here would be 120 degrees. So the next question says,